Hey, what is up guys? So we are going to be doing the deck profile for the Unstoppable Obelisk deck, which is a really fun deck to play. It's kind of a hit or miss deck, meaning that if your opponent happens to be playing something like Spellbooks or something like Madolches, yeah, you're going to have a bad time when you duel against them. But other than that, there are very few decks that, have effects that, don't target and, just get rid of a card on the field, and Obelisk is pretty darn good. Technically, you can stop him, but I think that the name of the deck, the Unstoppable Obelisk, suits it pretty well, because otherwise I'd have to name it really good Obelisk that can only be destroyed by a few things. And I think Unstoppable Obelisk is a pretty darn good name because there are very few things that, actually stop an Obelisk. If you guys want to check out how the deck kind of plays, pretty much my opponents usually just ended up quitting, so I couldn't really get a really good duel in with this deck. But basically, you get it out and your opponent just simply loses. Or if they happen to have an answer for it, like Tiramisu or Spellbook of Fate, then at that point you basically lose. So I do want to mention off that it's not a very consistent deck as far as, taking it into a tournament, unless you know for sure you're not going to be playing against, Spellbooks and Madolches. But other than that, it's pretty good. It gets an Obelisk that has 4,000 attack that can't be destroyed or be targeted by card effects. So that's a pretty nasty card to deal with. A lot of decks simply just can't deal with it. No matter how many cards that they can make, Obelisk the Tormentor is just too strong. If you guys want to actually download the deck, if you have DevPro, I'll leave a link down below in the description box, as well as a link to actually check out how the deck plays. Basically, it just gets an Obelisk, and then you simply win, or your opponent just quits because of Obelisk. Plus the effect of Hardened Armed Dragon, which is actually the effect that the monster can't be destroyed by card effects. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile. I'll explain my choices as we go along. So first off, Triple Obelisk the Tormentor. He's pretty awesome. It doesn't really matter how you get him out, as long as you get him out by attributing the Hardened Armed Dragon, you're going to be good because he can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, and it doesn't matter how plus your opponent may go with some other cards or how much life points they have, because if your deck is going to beat their deck, it's probably because they can't have an answer to Obelisk no matter how many cards that they have in their hand. Next up, 3 Hardened Armed Dragon. This is one key card in the deck, and basically you can get him out with Giant Rat or Masked Dragon, but when he is used as a tribute for a level 7 or higher monster, the monster cannot be destroyed by card effects. That is part of Hardened Armed Dragon's effect, so that's a pretty awesome effect, no matter if they banish him or whatever happens to Hardened Armed Dragon. It doesn't matter. Obelisk is the one that has that ability, which is pretty awesome. Next up, Triple Giant Rat. Giant Rat's pretty awesome because it gets our Hardened Armed Dragon. It kind of stalls you if you don't happen to have the cards to get out Obelisk immediately. Next up, 2 Summoner Monk. Fantastic card because it gets out, Hardened Armed Dragon. Really easy to maybe first turn if you happen to have double summon plus like an instant fusion to get out a first turn Obelisk. Next up, Triple Masked Dragon, just because it helps stall, plus it allows you to get out Hardened Armed Dragon, which is actually one of the key cards in the deck. Next up, Triple Swap Frog, 2 Rodent Totem, Triple Dupe Frog, and Triple Treeborn Frog. I had the little frog engine going just because Swap Frog is able to special summon itself. Ronin Totem can special summon itself if you happen to have another frog that you can banish. Dupe Frog allows you to search for the Swap Frog and has 2,000 defense, so it usually can survive, first turn if you set it. And then Triple Treeborn Frog, just to, happen to have extra monsters is always nice, just for that tribute summon of Obelisk, because it does require 3 monsters. Next up, Triple Instant Fusion. Triple Cup of Ace. This card's so sacky, but like I said, if your deck is going to beat your opponent, it's going to be because they simply just can't answer Obelisk. Next up, Triple Double Summon. It doesn't really matter how minus you go, as long as you get out the Obelisk, you just win. As long as, like I said, they're not playing with Dolces or Spellbooks. Next up, Triple Soul Exchange and Triple Upstart Goblin. As far as the extra deck doesn't really matter. You just need targets for instant fusion, and then if anything, Gotchi is probably a good card. You can put Herald of Pure Light if you really wanted to, but Gotchi is the only thing you might actually need to make. You can actually fill in an extra deck, but I didn't, for the sake of, the deck basically has one linear play, which is get out Obelisk and auto win. But yeah, this has been the deck profile for the Unstoppable Obelisk. If you guys have any suggestions for this deck to actually make it a bit better, I think maybe we can make it a little bit better. Obviously, this card right here is a really sacky card, but it doesn't really matter. Like I said, if your deck's going to beat them by getting out Obelisk and them not having any answers in their deck, it's going to beat them. So it doesn't really matter if you happen to hit tails with it. But if you want to download the deck profile or watch how this deck actually works, which is basically you get it out and your opponent pretty much quits, unless your opponent, OTKs you before that, which, happened when I was playing this deck, because technically you can get OTK'd, but because it technically needs, I'd say, about 3 turns max, majority of the time, to actually set up for an Obelisk play. As long as you have the Obelisk in your hand, it's pretty easy to set it up. But anyways, hope you guys have some fun with this deck, because there are, few decks that can actually answer this, because it's too strong. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes, signing out.